I'm sure a lot of you have seen the situation in Belfast where the Lord Mayor, to call him a Lord Mayor is a dishonour to the actual name of, or the title of Lord Mayor. He is nothing but a supporter of terrorism. People seem to forget that, but that man represents the butchery of our community and the glorification of the butchery of our community. You know, once you support terrorism, you are then part of the whole system of a terrorist background, a terrorist supporter, whatever you want to call it. And anybody to stand and shout that we have now got this man to hand the certificates to cadets, future young soldiers, should be ashamed of themselves. That man has no right whatsoever to dishonour the good name of that certificate that's given to that young individual, no matter who it is. A man shouldn't be allowed to touch certificates like that, to soil them with the blood of our people. So it's no glory to say they've got him to change his approach. His approach is still the same. He said he would not welcome our troops home. Well, just imagine that young cadet that they're going to give the certificate to goes on and becomes a soldier within the British Army. He won't welcome them back from a campaign in Afghan or Iraq or anywhere they have to go to defend democracy. Thank God there was enough good people in Belfast who went onto the street to show their utter and total disgust about what was going on in the City Hall. The fact that these terrorists are now dictating the situation in the City Hall. And I hear people condemning the ones who didn't come out to vote in Belfast, and that's why we have a Sinn Féin council. The reason we have a Sinn Féin council, or the majority within the Belfast council being Sinn Féin, the people feel that they have nobody to vote for. That is the reason we are in the situation we are in. And I'm not going to get into what party this or what party that, but that is why the majority of Protestant people within the Unionist community feel that they can't go out and vote in Belfast, because they feel there's nobody there that represents their views. And for to come out and tell the people who were protesting on the streets of Belfast that you should have come out and voted. How did she know who voted? But this is the arrogance of some people nowadays. They talk about dictatorship. Hitler looks like an amateur compared to some of these people. The people who were protesting outside the City Hall demanded for Sinn Féin to come out to answer the questions, or the question of why he did what he did. Sinn Féin wouldn't come out, but then they sent the DUP out. But anyway, I'd like to move on from that to the situation up in Donegal. Here we have a cross-community event. The problem is, again, Sinn Féin stepped in and tried to take this over. Sinn Féin stepped in and tried to justify their murderers, butchers campaign of the Unionist community, and indeed a large number of Roman Catholics as well. People need to remember, and I know they're trying very hard to make us forget, but we will not forget who is responsible for the butchery and the terrorism that went on in this country for 40 odd years. Sinn Féin is behind that. A cross-community event does not mean that you bring the representatives of the IRA in to lecture young Protestants about why they murdered their kith and kin, and that's basically what was done here. Now, we're lectured continually, we're condemned continually, because we stand up to these people. We will not allow them to write the history of this country, and that's what's going on, folks. And fair play to the people who got up and walked out when Martina Anderson tried to justify their murderous campaign of the people of Ulster. Not only Protestant, but also Roman Catholics. See, people seem to forget the IRA killed near 500 Roman Catholics. You know, so they're no great defender of the Roman Catholic people either. Now, what is this? This is an invitation. The Mayor and members of Newry and Mourne District Council request the pleasure of your company at a breakfast seminar to launch the First and Deputy First Minister employers' guidance on recruiting people with conflict-related convictions. Now, I'll put that into proper language. They are talking about the hiring of terrorists into certain positions, not only within government jobs, but within other organisations within Northern Ireland and indeed Southern Ireland. They're no longer terrorists, they're conflict convictions. Well, let me tell you this, they're terrorist convictions. People seem to forget they're still out on licence, and them licences that they're out on are for terrorist offences. But whenever you read this, it doesn't say that. So they're even trying to write history and change the offences that these people were convicted of. Some of them mass murder, some of them for killing women and children, some of them for kidnapping our kith and kin and torturing them, brutally torturing them. And now they want to call it conflict convictions. You can hide behind all the bureaucracy you want and all the nice words you want. But the reality is that on the 14th of December, what you are holding in Newry and what is being paid with by probably either British taxpayers' money or European money is how you can employ terrorists, convicted terrorists, into government positions and government jobs, not only in the council but right up to the very top level of government. We have another situation, where we have found out that the Cullen Centre in South Armagh has been misleading our unionist representatives by actually using my name and the names of loyalist bands and indeed UDR men as making use of this IRS centre. Not only once, but on several occasions. I never used this centre, and I find it very hard to believe that any band from Market Hill would have used it. Now, we have asked, and everybody says no, they haven't. The unionist councillors voted on the fact that we were supposed to have used it. That has been rectified, and they've been told exactly what has been going on here. We are asking the question, what about grants these people have received? Have they used this information as well that Willie Frazer has been involved in, and other organisations such as ourselves have been involved in them? There's a whole question about Loughgall. Now remember, first off, these people got £10,000 each, their families did, for what happened in Loughgall. Well, I can tell you exactly what happened in Loughgall, because I spoke to one of the fellows who was there and actually had great pleasure in shaking the hand of a man that cut them dogs down that night, because that's what they were, a bunch of mad dogs. And the weapons that them boys used, this is something they haven't told you, 127 murders them weapons were related to. They drove down the road with a bomb in the bucket of the digger, and it was only whenever they got out, they stopped at the gate, a boy jumped off the digger, went over and lit the fuse of the bomb. And as soon as that happened, some of them jumped out of the van and started to open fire. That's when the army gave them some of their own medicine. And the only problem with Loughgall that night was that there wasn't another van load behind them. And for that wee runt, McElduff, for to stand up and say that they operated a shoot-to-kill policy. Well, as far as I know, the IRA was operating a shoot to kill policy for over 40 years. Get off the backs of the people and start talking common sense. You want to move on in this country, start talking common sense. Stop talking about people who are out to murder. And like one person said to me that they're only there to blow the station up. They're only there to blow the police station up. That's how sick these individuals are. Well, if they're only there to blow up the station, why did they need so many of them? Why were they all armed to the teeth? To the teeth. Some of them were carrying 2 weapons. One wasn't enough for them. One of them was carrying a gun that they took off a part-time policeman that they had murdered in a police station a few weeks earlier. So, McElduff, when you talk about shoot to kill, you started the shoot to kill policy. You started 40 years ago. You just can give it, but you can't take it. And I think that's probably one of the main reasons why you ended up calling our ceasefire.